In line with the earthquake that happened earlier, we have on the line Dr. Renato Yusilidum Jr., Undersecretary for Disaster Risk Reduction and Climate Change of DOST, and Officer in Charge of PHIVOLCS. Hi, sir. Good evening. This is Rina Villamor Camara of UNTV's Y News.
Yes, good evening.
Sir, with the locations affected from Zambales area to Metro Manila as far as Batangas and Cavite area, what fault are we talking about here?
Well, the earthquake was sourced from a local fault near Castilleos in Zambales. And the fault moved horizontally. And that is why those in central Luzon and nearby regions were affected by the shaking. In general, the intensity was not that strong, only at intensity 5. But locally, like in Lubao, Pampanga and in Porac, Pampanga, there were reports of damages. And we have placed the intensity at 6. Essentially, this might be due to the fact that the areas are underlain by soft sediments.
Sir, is this the same fault as the one with the big one? Can this movement of one fault affect the other faults as well here in Metro Manila?
Not really. The fault that generated the earthquake this afternoon is far from the valley fault system in Metro Manila. And the earthquake that was generated, although it is a strong earthquake at magnitude 6.1, was not a major earthquake to really cause stresses on nearby faults.
Can we verify some reports that there was a loud sound like explosion in somewhere in Castilleos, Zambales, where the epicenter was prior to that earthquake? Is this normal, and what kind of earthquake did we experience earlier?
Well, if there is an earthquake, and the people are near the epicenter of the earthquake, typically the shaking that we would feel first is up and down motion, and then later on the sideways motion. And the shaking can be accompanied by an unusual sound, or can be an explosive sound. That is normal for areas near the epicenter of the earthquake. The earthquake was generated by fault movement, and so it is called a tectonic earthquake.
Okay, so as of this time, how many aftershocks have we noted so far? And can we still experience aftershocks within tonight or until tomorrow, sir?
Well, at around 6:30 this evening, there were more than 17 aftershocks that have been recorded. And aftershocks are still expected to continue as these earthquake events are expected after a strong earthquake. Now, how long the aftershocks will be recorded, we are not sure yet, but it can last for several days. But most of the earthquake events are not felt typically after a major one.
What about the damage in establishments, especially the ones near the epicenter in Clark and Zambales area? And have we reported any casualties or injuries as well?
Well, we cannot verify the reported casualties or damages. This should be reported by the local government disaster risk reduction management officers. But we have received reports that there were minor damages in Clark and in Porac and Lubao. And this will be very local compared to the general evaluation that the earthquake had not caused significant damage all over. But there can be localized amplification of shaking, especially if the foundation is soft sediment, and damage can be expected if the structure is old or weak.
So we all know so far that in Metro Manila, we are being prepared for the big one. Can we consider this one as the big one already, or are we still expecting the big one to happen anytime soon?
Well, the big one was coined by the media, referring to a possible magnitude 7.2 earthquake to be generated from the Valley Fault system, specifically the West Valley Fault. The earthquake that occurred in Zambales is from a different fault. So that is not the earthquake scenario that we are preparing for Metro Manila. So we should be preparing for the earthquake scenario that will come from the Valley Fault system, and also an earthquake scenario from the Manila Trench, which can also cause significant shaking.
Lastly, sir, your reminder to the Filipino people in times of situations like this one.
Well, first of all, during an earthquake event which is so sudden, we must be able to function properly and do the correct preventive measures like drop, cover, and hold, protect ourselves from falling objects by hiding beneath a strong table or going to places in the room like corners where there are no things that will fall on you, stay in that position and stop and wait for the earthquake to stop, the shaking to stop before they move. If they are in a very open area or big areas with concentration of people like malls, they should they should not run. They should stop and lower their position, squat and cover their head and next over their hands until the shaking stops, and then they can get out. It is important also that people and administrators or owners of buildings to make sure that these houses and buildings are inspected, because the drop, cover, and hold approach are just to prevent people from being affected. But it is better if the building will not collapse or be severely damaged during the earthquake event, and that would be a structural intervention. Buildings should be prepared aside from people being prepared.
Thank you so much, Dr. Renato Soledum from the DOST.